Well, I truly hope that 2025 started off so much better for you than it did for me. So nice to be back behind the camera. Hello everyone, welcome to Model Kit Stuff and welcome to this week's Table Talk, the first proper Table Talk of 2025. It feels like ages since I've recorded one of these, but it's been, well, it has been 2 or 3 weeks now, is it? I've lost count. Yeah, so where have I been and what's going on? We're going to talk about all of that sort of stuff during the course of what might be a slightly different Table Talk video this week, while I'm starting to get myself back together and get myself shipshape, ready to carry on. So, yeah, let's start with a big warm welcome to the many new subscribers that joined the channel over the Christmas period. It's really nice to have seen you all coming into the channel and saying hello and leaving comments and getting involved. Absolutely love that. But still, 80% of people that watch my videos are not subscribers and watch over and over again. You're going to miss things if you don't subscribe. Honestly, it costs you nothing to subscribe. Just hit the button, because the number of questions I get where people say, well, haven't you done this? And why would you do that? And people will sometimes write pages in these comments. And if they'd just not missed the video before, they'd have known those answers. So hit the subscribe button and you don't miss anything. Okay. If you're a long-standing subscriber, a big warm welcome back to 2025. We are back rocking and rolling, you'll be glad to know. And a massive thank you to those people that joined as members over the Christmas period. So we now have around about 31 members in the social group. Not everyone has joined the social group. So if you have joined and paid for membership, you need to send me an email, modelkitstuff@gmail.com. You should have had an instruction to tell you to do this. And then from there, once I've got your email, I can then send an invite from the Facebook page, from the social group, to your email address, and that gives you access into the social group. So if you've not done that, do that, because that's the main thing that you're actually paying for. I know some people just want to contribute to the channel and keep the cogs whirling, which is brilliant. But yeah, there's around about 4 or 5 people that haven't joined the social group yet. Okay, with that all said, where have I been and what's been going on? Let's just rewind a little bit to Christmas Day, actually. So Christmas Day, my partner of 10 years this year in March, we'll have been together 10 years. She fell ill, and we thought sort of a flu type thing at first, you know, achy muscles, head cold type symptoms. She muddled through Christmas Day. Boxing Day, I was going meeting my dad and my brother and his family. We were going for a walk, and then we were going for a meal. And she didn't come along. In fact, she stayed in bed, and she stayed in bed for another couple of days. So I ended up caring for her over those couple of days and what have you. My children managed to miss it. In the background, the schools locally in the northwest, I'd certainly had a letter from the high school that my youngest goes to, had warned about a number of viruses doing the round, one of which was norovirus, which I've never heard of before, I'll be honest. Apparently it's been around for some time, and it's quite possible that Paula had that. Paula is very seldom bedbound when she's poorly. but she stayed in bed for a couple of days, and it took her. Well, she's still not over it. She's still got lack of energy and just feels a little bit fuzzy. She went back to work on Monday, just gone. But she's struggled a little bit because she's just not got the energy levels that she normally has. So that's what was happening as we were sort of running up to New Year. So on the 30th of December, I picked up whatever it was that Paula had. It was inevitable, really. And I spent 3 days in bed with a fever, and yeah, I was in pretty poor shape. I was shivering with the cold, and Paula was getting out of bed and what have you, and putting spare blankets and all sorts of stuff onto me to keep me warm. She was really quite worried, and there was no point in me going into hospital because all they would do is what Paula was doing, which was keep me warm, make sure I've got paracetamol, and you know, not much else. And the hospitals were apparently rammed, so stay where I was. So that's what we did. On the Wednesday, on New Year's Day, that sort of stuff started to ease. It hadn't by any means gone away. I still was getting a fever and the shakes and that sort of stuff. And it was the day 3 of not eating. In fact, I had a slice of toast that day, and that was the only thing I'd eaten for 3 days. And I started with gastro issues then. So I started with an upset stomach and feeling nauseous and all that sort of stuff. And the following day, on the Thursday, I was due to be back in work. I couldn't get into work because I couldn't get out of bed. But I was feeling brighter. The headache was easing and all of that sort of stuff. But my stomach got worse and worse. And I had a day of stomach cramps and really, really bad gastro pain. And that carried on for another 2 days, so Thursday, the Friday. Over the course of the last weekend, the Saturday and the Sunday, that settled down. I was still had a very upset stomach, but I was starting to eat properly, although it was pretty much going straight through me. And yeah, it wasn't very pleasant, and my guts were getting really uncomfortable, and I was having to go to the loo more often than I would and all that sort of stuff. And then on Tuesday this week, I spoke to a doctor, and they believe that the norovirus has left me with gastroenteritis, which, as the time I'm recording this, I still haven't gotten over. So I'm taking diurolites 2 or 3 times a day, and I'm taking an IBS medication to reduce the stomach cramps. So whenever I get the stomach cramps, that's what I'm having to take. Buscopan, I think it's called, and also with every meal I take some is the doctor's advice. So they're trying to break the cycle. So what's basically happened is the norovirus gave me gastroenteritis, which has caused some real damage to the pain receptors in my bowels, and expecting it to take up to another week before that has repaired itself. So to protect itself, it's still bringing in more liquid into the bowels than it needs. So it was horrendous. Far, far, far worse than coronavirus. It makes me wonder why we stop the world for coronavirus when there's viruses like norovirus that do that to you. I mean, blooming heck. Coronavirus is like a child's tea party compared to that thing. I've never had it before, I'd never heard of it before. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It was horrendous. Truly, truly horrendous. Anyway, I am definitely on the mend, and it's good to be back behind the camera. So that was my 2025 so far. The upshot is my grand plan over Christmas and New Year, which was to do a bit of modelling each morning on different topics. It never happened. I did virtually no modelling over Christmas. I've done a little bit on Sherborne in the last couple of days, but that's it. So I am massively behind on the channel. I have no edited content. I've got recorded content, but I've not got edited content. So I've got to play a massive game of catch up, and it's going to take me a couple of weeks to do that. I'd intended to have a break now anyway, and just have the Sherborne going out and the Table Talk videos going out. But at this moment in time, I'm doing it as I need to, because I just haven't been well enough. So my 2-week break might end up being a 3-week break, and really my 2 weeks is starting now. Unfortunately I'm back at work, so I'll have less time, so catching up will be harder. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit a load of videos, not necessarily the videos I intended to put out in my plan, but those that are quick and easy. Get myself 2 to 3 weeks worth of videos done. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we switch the channel back on. So I'll continue to do Table Talk, where I can tell you where I'm up to, and I want to continue to put the Sherborne out, because there's a number of people building along. A number of people got it as Christmas presents and are intending to build along, so I want to keep that one going. So that's where we are with the channel right now. Okay, but we do have some other things that happened in the background, because whilst my family was poorly and I was poorly, the videos that I'd pulled together at the back end of the year were coming out. So probably worth talking a bit about some of those. So I think the highlight of the year for me is always the showcase. I love to see how many different models my subscribers have done, and this year's was the biggest ever, and a big selection of different models, and I think the widest variety. It was nice to see figures in there. We had some dioramas like always. We had some ships like always. There was some wooden ships as well. We always have a matchstick model offering, which is always appreciated. It's nice to see the different ones. I'd love to see maybe next year, I know one of my moderators does card models. It'd be lovely to see one of those in there next year. So yeah, the subscriber showcase, I thought it was awesome. Someone, it might have been Gary, said that theirs was missing. If I've missed someone's, I truly apologise. I checked and checked. So how that's happened, I have no idea. But yeah, great, a great collection, and thank you to everyone that took part. I'm sure next year's will be bigger and better. I need to think about next year, because next year we'll have 2 showcases to do. We'll have the floaty things and we'll have the subscriber showcase. So we may move things around a little bit. This year was very pressured in December, and I don't want to do that again. So I want to pace myself a little bit. So there was that that came out, the subscriber showcase. What else did we have? I don't really remember. Now. We did do, oh yeah, of course, we had the live stream with Peter, and I've got to say that live stream has performed massively better than the one I did early the year before to launch the Scharnhorst. So quite frankly, the one with Peter was a screaming success. And what we've agreed is that come Easter time, Peter will host one on his channel and I'll be the guest. So that's really nice. It'll be, I think, well, I know he really enjoyed doing it. He'd never done one. He'd been a bit wary of doing one. They are a little bit challenging when you're trying to manage the comments and moderate it. In fact, I'd say it's probably impossible. So I will talk to Peter about maybe getting a couple of moderators, although I know his wife does that for him as well, so he might be okay. But he really enjoyed it. I think he just enjoyed chatting, enjoyed answering the questions of people. It was a little bit more immersive for him, and I certainly had a really good time. It was nice chatting, and you know, Peter's a lovely guy, and you know, we have a number of things in common, not least that we do a lot of kit reviews during the course of the year, and I tend not to buy ICM kits for the purposes of reviewing, because I know Peter's covering it, and it makes no sense for me to do what Peter's already doing. Many of my subscribers are his subscribers, so why would I double up on something that Peter's doing? So if you see me with an ICM kit, you know I've bought it with the intention to build it. So the Black Hawk that's coming along looks lovely. I think I may well have to get that. I'm a big fan of the film Black Hawk Down, so that could be a lot of fun. And I don't have many helicopters. I don't intend to actually buy much at all this year. We'll perhaps talk about that in a moment. But yeah, I think those were really the main events. And then of course we launched 2025 with a pre-recorded video which launched the Floaty Things group build. So let's talk about that. So the group build has started, and what I'd say to all of you is I will do a little separate video, an update video, and say to people, right, share what you're building for the group build. There's a number of channels kicking off group builds at this moment in time, you know, so I know that one or two people are intending to get into it later in the year. The fact that it's running for almost a full year, I think is helpful because people can bob in and out as they go. But there are certainly a number of builds underway, and if you remember, you're already seeing people's progress, people starting off, people starting to get going on the group build, which is lovely. And not everything is ships, which is great. That was always the intention. So if you prefer building smaller kits or even armor kits, you can find something that would fit the bill of floaty things. You know, there's loads of things that come to mind. The Schwimmwagen, Buffalo. There's all sorts of bits and pieces. That hovercraft that we reviewed at the back end of last year, you know, loads and loads of potential for the floaty things group build, and you can have as many entries as you like. So, you know, spend the year building things that float and put half a dozen in, you know. I don't think we've seen a float plane yet, so it'd be nice to see a float plane. Oh, there might be a Sunderland in there. So, you know, there's loads and loads of stuff. So if last year you enjoyed the B17 group build, but you want to be able to share what you're doing more regularly, do consider membership. It's just $4.99 a month. You get access to the social group where you get to know the fellow subscribers more closely. We've got subscribers from the US, from Europe, from the UK. You get to know what they're doing, they share their build progress as they're getting on, ask questions. There's all sorts of tips and tricks being shared in there, you know, from how they store things to how people are going around building stuff. Lots and lots of, you know, people asking questions, people offering advice. It's a really, really nice community, and because it's a paid community, you've not got any of those little idiots that like to show off. You know, that see a post, go and Google something and then go and write it like they know all about it. You know what? You see it all the time on Facebook. You see it all the time on Facebook. People that are trying to sort of, hey, look at me. I can't stand it. And that's why we didn't do a Facebook page before. But because this is paid membership, everyone's nice and chilled, everyone's nice and relaxed. It's a really, really nice place to be. So please consider membership. The money goes into the channel. Now I get about 60% of it. The money goes into the channel, and that is used for buying this year products and tools for review. So this year we're going to focus on products and tools rather than kit reviews. We are going to do kit reviews, but you're not going to see one every week like we've done for the previous 4 years, because we're more mature than that now. That's been a great way of bringing people in, but there's only so many places I can put model kits, and I do intend to further reduce that stash and get serious about what I'm going to build in the next few years. And if I've got things that I'm not going to build in the next few years, we're going to get rid of them, and they're probably going to be offered to members first on the Facebook page. So, you know, and as always at a very reasonable price. So in terms of other members benefits, we will see what that looks like during the course of the year. I might start doing early access to some videos, and I might do, when there's a sufficient number of people, I might do members only live streams. So it could be that on a Friday, when we've finished the build video, we might hop on a live stream for an hour for members, just to have a chat. We can talk about the video that's just been and where everyone's up to. So that's something I'm considering. It'd be fairly easy to do, wouldn't impact on my time too much and all of that sort of stuff. So there's lots of things been mulling around my head while I've been lying in bed, not able to do anything else. So we will see. Lots to come in 2025, and I don't really know what it's going to look like, other than some of the builds that we've already talked about coming along. Now in other stuff, we got a new product launch. This came out on the 1st of January. I would have had the video out 1st of January, that's what I'd agreed with Gaahleri, but I hadn't recorded it before I fell sick. And if you've not seen it, go and see it, because it's the new swallowtail, but this one, this bad boy, has side feed, siphon feed. Is that a thing? Side siphon feed, maybe that sounds better. But yeah, it's a beautiful tool. I mean, the swallowtail is a lovely airbrush, but you can attach either a gravity feed style cup. It's still siphon, feeding, but you've got a gravity cup, or you've got a bottle for larger quantities. It's really comfortable, really easy to use. You know, a lot of people like it. A great addition to the swallowtail. So that's really nice. And I was a bit behind on that launch, unfortunately, but Gaahleri were very, very nice about it. They were more worried about my health than their airbrush. But what some people may not know is that Gaahleri have now launched more siphon bottles. Now, I have spoken to Gaahleri and said it would be great if they had caps for these, because what you get in the pack is you get 2 bottles, both with the siphon cap. But you imagine if you could take that off, mix your paint in it, start spray painting, then you're going to leave it overnight to dry or whatever. Just put a lid on, especially if you've mixed a bespoke paint colour. You know, you can just store it so that you can pick it up the next day when you're doing longer jobs. So I've suggested that to them. They were blown away by the idea. I mean, why they'd thought not to do it, I don't know. But when I explained to them why the people might need a cap, they absolutely understood. It's gone straight to the development team, so hopefully we'll see some lids for these bottles very, very soon. In the meantime, however, there is a temporary solution, and that's a Tamiya bottle lid. So, Tamiya lid, siphon bottle from Gaahleri, job done. Perfect. Now that opens all sorts of opportunities, because people were questioning me when I said this, when I did the siphon feed airbrush video, but you can thin your Tamiya paint in your jar, shorten the siphon tube, screw that onto your, in fact if I take this siphon tube off, screw that onto your Tamiya paint pot like so, and shove that straight into your airbrush, and away you go. That is a game changer for a lot of people. All you got to do is agitate your paint before you put it on. Now, it's not the best fit, but it does screw on. Personally, I wouldn't do it, but it is possible. Personally, I'd decant that into there, use that as intended, and when you're finished, put the cap back on and use these jars for keeping your Tamiya paint in. So yeah, I think that is a great solution. So hopefully we'll get lids soon, but in the meantime, don't be chucking out your Tamiya lids, because they're ideal as caps for these siphon bottles. So there you go, that's the solution. You can get these from the Gaahleri website. If you use my link below to get you in, make sure that you get the best deal. If there's any money off and that sort of stuff, you'll see it through doing that, and then use my 10% off. And that's a nice solution. Now Gaahleri very kindly sent me a couple of packs of these, so I'll be using these and having a play. I will do a little video on them, but in the meantime, you know what to do. Keep hold of your Tamiya tops, and you can use them on those siphon jars, including the one that came with your airbrush. So on the bench, as I say, I've done virtually nothing. I've not touched Scharnhorst. I have not touched the Mini Art Junkers F13. So on Sherborne, what we have done is finish the decoration on the stern here, which has gone together quite nicely. We've got the mouldings detail on the sides there that just need a bit of clean up. We've got the top rails on, and the swivel gun mounts and the cat heads on, and all painted up. And I've taken the option, it's not an option, it's what I've decided to do, is paint the inside with the same red ochre as I've done with the inside of the gun ports. At this period of time, captains of the ships were able to paint them as they wanted. What I wanted to do with this was just break up all the wood a little bit, because a lot of the fittings don't get painted. So it just adds a little bit of eye-catching detail. Plus, we're about to put all the eye bolts and things in. That's the next thing, blackening them and adding them. And they'll stand out nicely against the red, because we're not going to be rigging cannons on here. With it being a complete beginner's build, what we're going to do is we're going to do it straight out of the box. But I will do a separate video on how to rig cannons, just for the purposes of understanding. So if you do want to do it, you can do. It depends on the model whether I do it or not. Sometimes it can add clutter. Sometimes I add the full rig, sometimes I add a part rig, sometimes I add no rig. All depends. On this Sherborne, no rig. The next one we're going to do doesn't have cannons, and then after that, the Lady Eleanor. Then after that, we'll perhaps do a part rig, and then on the last one we'll do a full rig. So on the Adder we'll do a full rig. So yeah, that's where we're up to. I'm happy with how she's looking. Just not happy with how much is being done on anything. So there you go, that's what's happened on the bench. The only other thing to say is that over the Christmas period, I was considering parking Fly and starting another build. I'm really not enjoying Fly at the moment. And I think it's just, she's hard work compared to the Vanguard kits. And my mojo's not there. And if I'm not feeling it, I don't want to do it, because you end up sort of, somehow it starts going wrong. You know, everything seems, and you start feeling negative about it. And I don't want to be there. But I've decided I'm not going to start another build instead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the 4 absolute beginner builds and then see where I am. Because that's going to take me, I think this year we'll certainly finish Sherborne this year. And we will certainly start, I'd like to think, finish Lady Eleanor, which means we will probably start the Grecian at the back end of the year. And then Adder will be 2026. And so it'll be next year that we finish absolute beginners. Now, if you think about when we started with this, you're probably looking at 18 months to 24 months to complete the complete absolute beginners series of 4 builds, which should put you in the position to go and build anything you fancy after that. Of course, we've got some seriously nice kits to look at after that. So let's just talk about what models we will be building in the future on this channel out of wood. We've got the Harpy. So when I did the review video of the Harpy, which went out on Christmas Day, at that time the intention was it was going back to Vanguard models after it had been filmed and reviewed. And I'd said to Chris, it's done, it's ready for collection whenever you are. I don't mind holding on to it over Christmas if you want to let all the silliness with deliveries calm down first. And he said, yeah, he'd give it a week or so and then he'd pick it up, is what he said. And then on Christmas Day in the afternoon, he sent me an email and basically said, Harpy's yours, Merry Christmas. Which, you know, is such a lovely gesture from Vanguard. They didn't need to do that. So we now have the Harpy to build. So that's nice. I've also got Speedy to build. But I've also got a Victory Models gunship, which the Grinaldo, which I bought off eBay. Someone has started it and damaged it, and I think I can salvage it. So we've got that. We've got Fly to finish. We've got the Caldercraft Mary Rose, which I'm very keen to do. That's been my favourite kit before Indefatigable. Obviously, we've got Indefatigable. I have the intention of building the Royal Yacht from Vanguard Models as well. And I've also got the Artus Sina Latina Cutty Sark, which is a big kit. And I haven't done a review of that because it was originally a part work. I've got the I'm just trying to think what I forgot. I've got the Sol Royale, which is also a part work Artisana Latina. It's a pretty rubbish kit. I might well dump it. And I've got the Billings Boats HMS Warrior. I've got the Billings Boats HMS Renown, which is one of her ship's boats. I've got, so it's a steamboat, vac foam parts. Again, not a great kit. I've got an Amati Chinese junk, which would be interesting to do because it's so very, very different. I've got, I think the brand is Eldair, a little river steamer, so the sort of thing that you'd see on Lake Windermere in the Lake District, Victorian style lake steamer, very, very pretty. Again, not a great kit. And I've also got, there is something else. I forget what the other one is. But I do have another one as well. Yeah, I have got another one which is a shelf queen. Anyway, all of those I intend to build on the channel, so we won't be getting rid of any of those. So there's lots of possibilities in 2026 of which direction we go. We might have a break from Vanguard and do something else. But then if I went and built the Mary Rose, I'd still be building a Chris Watton kit at the end of the day, wouldn't I? Or if I finish Fly, you know. Oh, yes, it's a Calligraph kit I've got. It's going to come to me. No, I can't remember. I do have another Calligraph kit as well. Right, anyway, I think we move on now. So some of you may have seen at the back end of last year I did get a couple of kits. So we got the Weasel from Tacom, so not a big box. We've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sprues. So I like this because it's just unusual looking, and Arctics again painting white. I hate painting white. Why have I got so many kits that I need to paint white? But yeah, an unusual looking kit, so I thought that would be interesting. I won't do anything with that until aftermarket have caught up, because you know I'd like to have some stowage on it and what have you. So I'm going to be filming that as a review very soon. And then I also got this, which I was really looking forward to, and I've had a flick through. I've not filmed the first impressions of this, but it's a beautiful, beautiful model. And it comes with the two figures that you see there, Rommel and his driver. Yeah, very, very nice kit. Full interior, big box. And what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 sprues there, and a bathtub lower hull. And individual track links, which are 2 parts per track link. All nicely done, should be movable when it's done. Looks fabulous. You even get the stowage on it as well. So yeah, looking forward to that. That might be something we build later on for the members only group build. So those of you that are members, we've got a group build coming in September after the classic kit group build later this year. So lots going on. So I think that's pretty much it for now. What I will say is that I might put the Sherborne builds as an experiment on the Friday night slot over the next couple of weeks while there's no other content, because that's the only thing I'm intending to get out. So they might not be on a Wednesday, they might be on a Friday night, so we can do the live chat. So you might just see a Friday and a Saturday video come in for the next couple of weeks, and then, like I say, once I've caught up with myself, the channel will come back to life. And then yeah, I'm interested to see how a wooden model ship performs on a Friday night, because it may be that if it does well, that we start thinking about rotating all the builds through a Friday or a Wednesday, because effectively I'm putting out 2 builds a week at the moment, 1 wooden and 1 plastic. So why does Friday have to be the preserve of plastic? Doesn't make any sense really, does it? I've just not thought about it. because we did the Wood Wednesday thing, and the wooden kits, because they can progress so slowly, you don't always have an hour's worth of stuff. You know, so sometimes it's just an update, but when we've got an hour's worth of stuff on a build, why not? It gives people the opportunity to ask questions and so on. So I think that's what we're going to do. So to make sure you don't miss anything, make sure you've hit the bell. And if you're not a subscriber, you know, please subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it means that you miss nothing. So it's a win-win. So thank you very much for watching. Bit of a short one, I think, this time. Partly because there's not much to talk about, not much got going. We might have a little bit more next week, by which time Airfix will have done their announcements. So I'm bound to want to talk about that. So until then, have a fabulously great week. You enjoy your modelling, and if you're a member, I will see you in the social group. Until then, we're about to run some thank yous. Bye for now.